Good morning. Thoughts on Zeta? I talked about this one yesterday. I don't love how much this thing has pulled back off the highs, but I do like that it's trying to reestablish itself above the 200 simple moving average. And I do like this little tight day that I put in yesterday. Possible low cheat setup at have to take out this daily's high, 2070s, maybe. I like it. I don't love it. That's the reality. Silver and PPLT are bouncing. Yeah, I mean, platinum and palladium yesterday got absolutely murdered. We are bouncing above yesterday's highs. At least we're trying to. But there's not a long setup yet. There's nothing tight about what's going on up here so far. Am I a buyer of Path? This one was on last night's watch list. But I don't think I'm a buyer of this name until we start to take out last Wednesday's high. So about 1750 roughly. I actually like Reddit. Reddit was very nice. Reddit's action yesterday was amazing. I thought it could have been a nice higher low setup, and so taking out prior day high was pretty interesting. First 5-minute opening range break could have been good. You'd have had to have been ready for it, but what are some of the strongest themes right now? Well, obviously metals, despite what happened yesterday. Steel, copper, gold, silver, platinum, palladium. I just don't see them with clean setups at this moment. So they just don't have the strongest setups at this moment. They've already kind of gone vertical. Are you talking about Path? What's my rationale of buying it if the group is shit anyway? Well, yes, the group might not be the best, but UiPath's earnings and sales have been accelerating now for 3 years. So that's also part of canceling. Accelerating earnings and sales. And just because software infrastructure has been terrible, doesn't mean that it's not a good name to keep an eye on because it has accelerating earnings and sales. And, we don't know if Microsoft bounces off the 200. We don't know if Oracle doesn't reclaim the 200, right? IBM is slow, but not entirely terrible. Trust me, I know that the group is bad. But if software infrastructure starts to get its act together, UiPath is the first name I'd want to pay attention to. It's a young name. It's got accelerating earnings and sales, and it could be in a group down the road that starts to strengthen. So So yeah, the group's not great, but the individual stock is fine. What books influenced me the most? The Mark Minervini books were really good. How to Make Money in Stocks by Bill O'Neill is really good. Yeah, I would say that there are some exceptions around CanSlim. Dude, and I'm not just a CanSlim trader. So like Oklo has no earnings and sales, and yet this is my most profitable stock of the year. I traded Oklo, bought it in here, and I bought Oklo in here. And this stock is going to make $100,000 by 2029, right? Like for me, theme is even more important than an individual stock's earnings and sales, which is technically supposed to be part of CanSlim, right? I don't want to just box myself in so I can never catch an Oklo, right? And then I short this sucker on the way down too. Yeah, don't box yourself in. I mean, if it's in a good theme, great. Now, one thing that I will say is, yes, you're right about path. I would rather the stock have a super good theme than, mandatory awesome earnings and sales. Because if it's in a good theme, it can still make an awesome move like this. Right? But they don't, and it doesn't have to have awesome earnings and sales. Thoughts on Tesla? Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't like the weakness. And I wasn't comfortable with the idea of possibly holding it back down to the 50 simple moving average. So, the issue with the gap fill as well was it never triggered a 620 setup intraday for me to be able to, add or buy some. So, unfortunately, I don't own it anymore. What do I think of Hood or Circle potential? Circle's already too far gone as a short. I'm not saying it can't go lower, but I don't necessarily love it as a short. Hood, this one's a little tricky because it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. If you're going to short this one, pushes into declining moving averages look a little bit better. My thoughts on CNC, not that good. Below a declining 200. You haven't missed a thing yet on that name. You haven't missed a thing. You don't have to own any stocks below a falling 200, especially a sharply falling 200. Yeah, I mean, the only real name, there was a few yesterday that I thought stuck out pretty well, and the two were Reddit, and the other one was Baidu. I thought those two names stuck out to me. And wow, Baidu at $133 in pre-market. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Jesus, dude, come on. That's just so shitty. It's like you want to buy yourself some Baidu, and then all of a sudden, this thing is just gapping up. Baidu wasn't on your scan? I like the way that Baidu made a big move up and then just digested this move. So I thought Baidu was interesting yesterday with the gap down and then how it just ran all day yesterday. Yeah, I would, normally when a stock starts to pull back like Baidu but makes a big move up, I just keep it on my universe list. If you were in Baidu, would you do a first trim and how much hypothetically? I wouldn't. If I bought Baidu yesterday, I wouldn't be trimming any today. I see a base like this and I see how well emerging markets are shaping up going into 2026. I would be just holding this potential huge winner. Right? I wouldn't be getting rid of any personally. I would just be letting it work. No, there's no setup on Rocket Lab just yet. There's nothing here. Needs more sideways. The days that I wait for a morning washout are the days that the market itself is gapping up. The days that the market is gapping up. I'll wait for a morning washout and see if things begin to start to catch a bid. But if the market's gapping down overnight, then I'm just looking for strength over a prior day high. Reddit could be interesting over a prior day high. I obviously know this thing has a little bit of supply all the way to 240. Yeah, Reddit looks good. I don't know if I buy it today over prior day high, but it's definitely on my radar. I should have picked some up yesterday, like 226. ASTS, same deal as Rocket Lab. I just don't see a setup yet. Definitely keeping an eye on that one. Keeping an eye on PL as well. I liked what PL did yesterday, but I just don't see a setup, unfortunately. Caterpillar. I don't know. High or low using the 50 simple moving average as the guide. I don't really know how to get involved into this thing. Obviously last Wednesday, so many stocks had a big washout, and then they've just been kind of trading sloppily ever since. Dude, I like how strong Reddit was yesterday. I like I said, I should have bought some yesterday as a 5-minute opening range break over prior day high. I thought it was a decent high or low setup, but I didn't. So unfortunately, 240 looks like maybe the next spot. A break a prior day high. I don't know if I get involved into break a prior day high. Just got to churn through this supply at first. Wayfair. Yeah, basing out nicely after a really big move up. Can't be too negative on that. Wayfair looks good. I guess the real question is where do we get involved? And it looks like maybe the high volume close of last quarter. We don't have earnings for a while on this name. So 106.52 maybe. COHR not bad. I don't know if COHR is extended. Let's find out. Yeah, it's just under 4 times its ATR from the 50. I mean, where do we get involved in COHR? Does it have to take out this high here? 197.20s? Or, are you prepared to buy these things as pullbacks into ascending moving averages? I think sometimes that's the lowest risk idea. LQDA, there's no setup here. This is just kind of channeling higher. It hasn't even really stopped to take a breather. ARWR. Okay, this has made a huge move. The one thing I'll tell you about pharmaceuticals, biotechs, any drug companies, any bios, you better know if they don't have like any kind of FDA meeting coming up, any kind of PDUFA date, any kind of approval for a drug that they might have. You make this really big move, and I want to say it looks a little bit extended. ARWR moves 5% per day. Yeah, you're far too extended. You're almost 7 times its ATR from the 50. Correct. It was due to market environment. You're rewatching Kulamagi videos. He traded stocks that I might call shitty ones. Do you mean his risk tolerance was simply higher, or is it due to market? Is due to market environment? I traded a lot of shitty stocks too. Oklo's my biggest winner this year, and I would label that one as a super shitty stock. It's a good trader. It's a good trender, but it's a super shitty name. It might be one of the shittiest. And in time, it probably ends up a whole hell of a lot lower. Has everything to do with environment. Environment and group. If you're in a good environment and groups are trending, I'll trade the shitty ones too. It's been difficult to get situated on the long swing side, right? I mean, recently this last month, it's been metals. And if you haven't been in metals and you've been focused on tech, that's been difficult. If you haven't been focused on healthcare over the last 2 months, it's been difficult. Biotech has been a little easier over the last couple months. Obviously, the metals have been a little easier over the last couple months. Retail, apparel, all of the things, all of the names that people haven't been giving much attention for the last 2 years are all of the things that have been working. Not many people have been long Victoria's Secret, right? Even though it's been a great trend. Not many people bought the earnings gap up on Abercrombie. Not many people bought American Eagle. Not many people have bought the Biotech several months ago. Not many people have been focused on Eli Lilly, right? It's like your typical retail trader, and this might include myself, is focused too much on the things that have already made big moves versus always trying to constantly figure out where money's going. I mean, that's always my job. But obviously you get distracted by sometimes the Palantirs of the world waiting for them to set up again, that you miss, the low-hanging fruit. Now, I did a good job getting myself into a gold name, but maybe not enough of a good job getting more allocation into the metal space. So just is what it is. You bought MU on the 19th. You've already trimmed a third. You bought it on the 19th. You've already trimmed a third. I really wouldn't trim anymore until you get extended from the 50 simple moving average. So you're only 5 times its ATR from the 50. When you get 7 times its extension from the 50, then I would consider trimming up some more. So I don't know that I would trim some more. I would probably just trail it. Yeah, CCJ has a little bit of a load sheet setup going on here, exactly where it rejected yesterday. And I think BTU looks even better. Now, one's a uranium stock, and the other one is a coal stock. So, they're unrelated to each other. But, yeah, we'll see if BTU wants to get going. I don't love the way Lilly looks. In fact, I liked Lilly more as a pullback into 990 because it had this support gap right in here. Lilly had this support gap right in there. And I thought 990 was a lot better than whatever the hell is going on here. It's like not really pulling back. It's just kind of grinding higher. And I look at this hourly and I say to myself, like, how the hell and where the hell do I buy that? Yeah, MP's already in a bit of a, it's already definitely in a downtrend. Hood itself, I just don't love the way it looks here. Not until you can reclaim the 50. Undercut and reclaims also can happen in the morning. FSLR, NXT are just far too choppy. I don't know exactly where to even buy FSLR at this point. Yeah, break a prior day high, I guess. I mean, problem is no good green bar on this name recently has stuck. So it's just been nothing but chop. You buy it and then you just get slammed. You buy it and then it just gets slammed. I bought it in here and then it just got slammed. I mean, it's just very annoying. And NXT, I mean, just draw a horizontal line. It's no good until it can clear 93.5. I mean, and back above the 50. Otherwise, this is just, you can't let yourself suffer through this. So it's just got to clear the range and then it's got to push for 2-3 days. I don't know that I love a spot on COHR. TSEM. Just too extended. It's fine. I just don't necessarily love the base. It's not really extended, but there's no real base here. Not to say it can't keep going, but I don't know that I love this setup. And if I took it, it would have to be over 124.5. Is a parabolic short a sign for you to exit all longs or just hedge against your long positions? If I were in a parabolic setup, like something that was going parabolic, I would just exit that position. But I wouldn't sell all my longs. Right? Why would I sell all my longs? Like let's say I owned like a metal, right? Why would I sell my biotech? Like that doesn't make a lot of sense. So no, I wouldn't sell all my longs. I would just get rid of the ones that have gone parabolic. Yeah, I think coal stocks are acting pretty dang good too. AMR starting to come around as well too. Another coal-related name. How much am I risking per each buy as a percentage of your portfolio? Yeah, most times I'm risking like 1/3 of 1%. 1/3 of 1%, sometimes less. It depends. If it's bouncing off of a key moving average and the market's perking up and the group is still acting well, I would buy it back. I'm not in Baidu already, unfortunately. Yeah, that one kind of hurts. Yeah, Tyler, this is actually something I'm kind of working on. It's just been a little difficult with the holidays, but I'll definitely post tons of chart examples in the educational rooms. And then I've been, trying to think about doing videos with those, like going over those individual setups and how I trade them. But, really for anybody who's already in there, I'm constantly just answering questions in real time. It makes learning, in my opinion, a little bit easier because things are moving in real time. Versus like a static chart that you can just look at in hindsight, right? Like looking at something in hindsight isn't nearly as good as doing something in real time, in my opinion. But yes, that is something that is I'm definitely working on. It's just been a little difficult with the holidays. My thoughts on AS. I mean, this one's just kind of broke down and bounced right back. I don't hate the way this thing looks. Is this thing just good over a prior day high? Could be. What is that? 38.36? Not bad. Hasbro. I don't really like this one as much, but it does look like it's trying to go higher. The toys. It's good. My opinion, does ADR matter even if you keep your stop as tight as possible? To get out? Yeah, ADR matters. ADR matters for a smaller account because you're trying to move the needle on your portfolio. Trading stocks that move too slowly doesn't help you do that. Right? You want to be trading stocks that are moving a little bit faster, right? So, think about an Oklo for a second. Okay. I caught basically 100% move in here. 100% move in just a few days. On the flip side of that, I'm long XOM. You do realize that it would take me like 2 years probably to catch 100% move in this turtle, right? So too slow is not the best. Lending Club, I don't really like this chart. I mean, a higher low setup, super tight. I kind of like RKT a little bit more. Same thing. They should move together. Do I have a specific filter? No, not necessarily. No, just your eyes as you scan. Remember, you're not going to catch them all either way, too. So don't stress about that too much. Just make sure you're scanning for 30-day and 90-day relative strength, and then do your best to make sure that you're focused on the leading groups. And then your eyes will show you how much overhead supply they have. Are there any actionable setups today, in my opinion? Yeah. Yeah, I think there are a few. I think Reddit looks pretty interesting. I thought this GH looked pretty interesting, right? I think GMed looks pretty interesting. I think Google as a potential downtrend line break has been holding up really well. I think this looks pretty interesting. We talked about Reddit already. I think this looks pretty interesting. I mean, there's a handful of names out here that look pretty good. I thought Baidu was a good one that was on my list for yesterday. Yeah, there's a handful of them. Oh, man, Baidu with the gap down and then just ripped all day long. What a shame. I think Affirm is fine. Affirm's on my watch list as well. I think it's got this potential low cheat setup, but really needs to take out Monday's high. Yeah, brother, happy to help. I'm going to be at the desk, regardless. So if I'm at the desk, happy to be on stream. Where do I see the emerging markets theme? EEM. This is a weekly high tight flag. And if you zoom way out on EEM, it's a gigantic base. Right? So it's a big base. We're basically at highs. And you've got a weekly high tight flag. Daily looking, almost even better. Obviously, weeklies are better to spot strength. But yeah, you've got emerging markets. And then you take it one step further and figure out what is the composition of EEM. So obviously 10 cents in there, Alibaba's in there. But yeah, we'll see if Baidu participates. Do you risk lesser on a stock like Baba and Baidu that gaps every day? I don't know that I would say that per se. As long as I can get momentum from my initial entry, I would still take only a 10% position. My thoughts on Tesla is a bounce off the 20 SMA. Well, let's see if it bounces off the 20 SMA. I was trying to do that right now, but it hasn't. Yeah, Path is on the radar. I talked about that one earlier. Long and strong ANF from 100. Very nice. Nice move. AMAT's been a strong semi lately. Yeah, AMAT's not an ugly looking chart. Again, these charts all look the same. You get this ugly washout on Wednesday. I mean, and they all look the same. You get the ugly washout on Wednesday, you get the gap up, and then you just get like this really sloppy action, right? Like even GEV, it's the same thing, totally unrelated name. You get the gap down, or you get the ugly washout, you get the gap up, and then you just get this sloppy action. If you were to get into a short for silver, what ticker would you look at today? I'm already short SILJ, and that's probably what my focus would stay on, just to add some more. Yeah, I've looked at aluminum. Yep. Alcoa and Century Aluminum, CENX. Yeah, I like both of those names. It seems like the toughest thing to do is get into a sector before. Not true. No, you just need to understand a pretty good setup, right? Like again, Oklo. This was a really nice setup. Notice how tight it was in here. You're looking for tight. Everybody's talking about them after they've made a big move. You're looking for tight. You've been probably 60% in the last 3 months, but was aiming for mastering tighter stops. Perhaps a bad idea to focus that much on stops. No, it's been tough this last month, man. It's been tough for the month of December. You should always aim to have pretty tight stops. Like you should always know where you're leaving when you're wrong. That's the most important part. No, MBIS is in a downtrend right now. These data center stocks don't have much of a bid going on. Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. NBIS is in a downtrend. And I don't see the cup and handle at all. Where's the cup and handle? There are zero setups today. I don't know that I agree completely with that. Rivian, yeah, I've noticed a strength in Rivian lately. I just don't see a setup on Rivian for today, so not really a whole lot to do. You think Plug's ready to go below the 200-day? Plug's been in a downtrend for 3 years. Yeah, RKT is an interesting one. Somebody just mentioned Lending Club as well. RKT is not bad. Well, I was trading the name that was much more liquid for me, which was NEM. So I guess my mistake with silver was not buying Hecla on this earnings gap up. Then I wouldn't have missed it. Had a nice high volume close setup the next day. That was my miss there for silver. And I also traded the gold theme pretty well. Did a study of your best trades for the past 2 years. Notice all the best trades were when NASDAQ was making new highs, not just trending higher off a correction. I honestly think for me, the best trading environment is after the market has a bigger correction. So my personal best trades, or the easiest time to get situated, was going to be late April, early May, and even parts of June, after the stock market had a big correction and then a follow-through day. That's usually for me when my trading is best, because it's easier to spot stocks that are showing relative strength when the market's going down. When buying off of simple moving averages, do you care if any of the other short midterm SMAs are sloping down? If I'm buying off the 10 and the 20, or really the 20 and the 50, if you're buying off the 20, I'm not concerning myself too much with the 10-day. I know there will be a little bit of supply, but the stock should still be in an uptrend if it's bouncing off the 20. What do I think of Lulu down here? There's nothing really to think. It needs to establish itself back above the 200. We've seen this Lulu setup before where it makes a move up into the 200, consolidates, and then breaks down some more. It happened right here. It made a move up, it consolidated, and then it broke down. Don't get too enamored by Lululemon until it gets back above and establishes itself above the 200. Chime. Recent IPO. Yeah, pretty interesting. Don't know that I need to trade it just yet. Doesn't even have 200 days of price action behind it. Copper 2 vertical. There's no setup here. There's no setup. Yeah, I like Frog. I won't trade it. I think it's just a little too choppy for me. It was on last night's watch list video as well as a possible high or low setup. A flat base in ANET, kind of like a low cheat. It's got to get back above the 50. It's like a little low cheat flat base. It's all right. On a low ADR stock, wouldn't your risk be tighter in terms of percentage? So in terms of our trading, higher or lower ADR does not matter. ADR matters. You can size down faster stocks. That's it, right? You could be risking the same amount of R per se, right? Because a faster stock, you want to size it down. Maybe a slower stock, you might want to size it up. But you want to make money before 2030, right? So you don't want to be in stocks that are too slow. Not a slow cheat, it's a low cheat. And ANET could be considered a low cheat setup. What time of day do I do most of my buying and selling? Normally within the first 90 minutes or the last hour. But normally within the first 90 minutes. PLAB, another semiconductor, right? I don't know about that one. I don't see anything for PLAB. Yep. You've been reading some good X accounts saying how the hierarchy of number one, market conditions. I agree. 2, strong group or theme. And with a strong group or theme, and when they say market conditions, the market where your stock is located. Because if you're going to say market conditions, well, if you own a tech stock, maybe it's not the best market conditions, but if you owned a metal name for the last month, the market conditions for metals are great. If you're focused on, let's say the XME or the GLD or, the SLV ETF. And then obviously, chart setup, very important. Thoughts on Jazz Pharmaceuticals? S doesn't look too bad. Yeah, Jazz looks pretty interesting. This is almost like a little low cheat setup as well. Right? It's not quite a high type flag. It's not quite a, high breakout. It's a little bit of a low cheat setup with about 7% of overhead. A-Lab's interesting. This one's got a bit more supply to churn through, but it does look pretty dang good. I like how A-Lab is tightening up over here. We'll see. Met Coal's another good one. Right? Is it Met METC? Where's Met Coal? Where's met coal? Met coal. Will that come up like that? Isn't it MET? I thought that was exactly it. METC. Oh, HCC. Oh, you were talking about literally METC. Yeah, no, this looks horrible. Why would you even be looking at this? I didn't I didn't even realize you were actually pointing this one out as a possible long tight enough. Why would you be looking at a stock like this? Why would you be looking at a stock that just went down 75%? Look, where's the setup? Look at how much nicer it was up here as it was building higher lows, and then you're looking at this for some reason. Don't do that to yourself. Yes, Kelvin. Yeah, you could use the code holidays. App lovin'. I still don't love app lovin' here. Kind of a sloppy base. I do like how the most right-hand side is building higher lows. I don't know that I buy this name. It needs a little bit cleaner of a base. Is this just a late stage base, I guess is the question. I don't know. Sup V, Argentinian stock, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, this Sup V doesn't look too bad. I would also tell you keep your eyes on ARGT. And then obviously you'll see some similar looking charts with like a GGAL as well. And what is it, BBAR? Similar looking charts. So you've got like a basket to focus on. APLD, there's nothing there. There's nothing in APLD. This shouldn't even really be on the radar. This is sloppy, below the 50, lower highs, rolling over. I mean, do I have a maximum percent loss on my portfolio that serves? No, dude, I haven't had a 10% drawdown from realized highs in over 2 years. So, and in October, I had like 11 losses in a row, but my drawdown was 1.5%. So what do I think of Genie? Nah, not that special. Let it reclaim the 200 on its own and then set up for you. But I wouldn't really go trading thin names, no matter what. NRGV, yeah, not bad. A little sloppy, but I guess the question is this thing already up too much and needs a whole new base? Maybe. No, Frog's not that extended. Nope. No, Frog's not that extended. What's the longest stretch I went without making a new trade this year? Probably 3-4 days. I mean, I want to say it was August, maybe. August that I only had like 17 trades for the month. I think that was like the lowest month, maybe. How do you decide which moving average to trail the remainder of your position to? It really depends how quickly the stock has pushed away from my average. That's number one. And then number two, what moving average has that stock respected in the past when you zoom out? AMD needs to get back over the 50 simple moving average. That seems pretty simple at this point. Needs to just get over this 50-day. What am I looking for an entry on SILJ today? I don't know. I'm already short, so I'm not necessarily looking for ads because it's already a full-size position. I'm not really looking for anything. This isn't really a clean setup that I would short into. So we'll see if silver starts to act weak, maybe a rejection of prior day high, like 2840s, and then we stay heavy below VWAP, then I would maybe get involved. I don't understand. What do I think about you guys on this chat since I started this? I mean, I personally like seeing other people win. So, if I can help anybody, I'm happy to help. That's the whole idea. Cost looking like a good short today. I think cost has been a good short. Problem with cost is it's already been in a downtrend. Now, if you want to get involved, getting involved as close as you can to declining moving averages is definitely the way. I don't know that a short down here, though, is, kind of gets me excited. I think a short in here for me was better. Kind of like my Netflix short, right? Like I want to add, but at the same time, I don't really want to add. My short came on the 19th of November. Just be careful shorting in the hole. And short as close as you can to the declining moving average. That'll save you a little bit. TER. Yeah. All these setups just look the same though, right? You get that Wednesday washout. That's Ivan, that's kind of the hard part, right? When everything looks the damn same. The Wednesday washout, the gap up, and then, just a bunch of chop for the next handful of days. Same thing, right? Wednesday washout, gap up, and then just a bunch of chop. They're not making it easy. This one has a high volume close setup though. 59 and a quarter. Do most parabolic shorts break down into severe downtrends? Yeah, but they could take a really long time to break down into a severe downtrend. Just look no further than MSTR, right? You had MSTR, you had this parabolic move, you had this huge break, and then you just went sideways basically for months on end until it finally broke down. I mean, from the parabolic until it broke down was, I don't even know how long this is really. Almost a full calendar year, 320 days. So before it really rolled over. And this I would consider a pretty severe downtrend. So yeah, I mean, most parabolic shorts end the same way, round tripping their move. How do I see Ethereum? It's in a downtrend. Ethereum's in a downtrend. Right? At the very least, it's in a sideways range, but this looks pretty bad. Bitcoin looks pretty bad. I think you're zooming in a little bit too close to try and recognize your higher lows, and you're just not taking account of what just simple moving averages are telling you, right? When you look at Ethereum, it's below a downsloping 200, right? Or at the very least, a flattening 200 and a downsloping 50. So over the last 50 days, it's in a sharp downtrend, and over the last 200 days, it's effectively gone nowhere. AFL, is that Aflac? Too slow of a name. Huge base. Huge base. Too slow. TTMI. Again, similar story. You get the ugly washout on Wednesday, you get the gap up, and then just pretty sloppy trading after that. I want to say like every stock in the market is just trading identical right now, which is what makes it so difficult. Everything is so highly correlated to the market. It doesn't even matter what it is. Wednesday, ugly washout, you get the gap up, and then you've just been chopping around every single stock we've looked at today. Damn near looks the same. Visa too slow, MasterCard too slow. Gavin, not one you really want to trade. I mean, cool if it goes higher, but is this really a name you want to trade? They're so slow. Me and Kulamagi are the only two that don't use relative strength line. Why? It's not needed. Your eyeballs tell you if it's showing relative strength. It'll hit your radar when the market's going down because it'll be going up. Right? Kind of like Baidu and Reddit yesterday. Yeah, like Affirm's a low cheat setup, right? It's not quite a new all-time high breakout. It's not a high type flag. It's not a just a simple flat base breakout, right? This is exactly what it is. It's in an uptrend. It still has some overhead supply, but it's got multiple points where you could see that there is a level of resistance, right, being built effectively right around that $79 area, give or take 50 cents, right? Where you just know, okay, here's this consolidation. It's all taking place below a nice horizontal pivot. And then back through that pivot, we don't have a whole lot to get back up to highs, right? 20% roughly. So sometimes 7%, 8%, you're not quite at the highs. So if you're waiting for an all-time high breakout, the reason it's called a cheat setup is because you're cheating yourself into the potential breakout before you get up to the quote unquote breakout level, which is a new high. Thoughts on BBAI? Before you go looking for speculative stuff, you better have exposure to 5 or 6 really quality stocks before you go looking for a turd like BBAI. Yeah, I mean, the last few months for me, shorts of the thing that's been paying. And there's a lot of shorts that I look at that I wish I still had, like Oklo, like UAMY, right? I wish I still had those. My Rigetti, my IONQ. I wish I still had those. Seadrill. I mean, I kind of like the base that it's putting up here. You can't really buy it right off of this V-shaped recovery, but I do like the way this is acting. Not bad. Not bad. I don't know much more about the stock. I don't know their earnings and sales, and I don't know what group they're in. So UNH, it's below a falling 200. There's nothing to do there. FLY, nah. Recent IPO destroyed. Aerospace and defense sector, but nah. CSIQ, yeah, this one's interesting. It's already been in an uptrend. We'll see what solars decide to do, but obviously a little bit sloppy. Continues to hold on to the 50 simple moving average, which is good. NVMI, Nova Limited, probably too slow to trade. NVMI, yeah, I mean, 90 million bucks and moves 3% per day. Not the best. Guys, I just realized what time it is. I got to get my butt moving. Hopefully you guys have an awesome trading day. I know we're kind of winding down the rest of the year, so don't go doing anything crazy and setting yourself into a hole for 2026. Be patient, use progressive exposure, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day.